Esports is a cultural phenomenon that is currently revolutionizing the global perception of gaming culture. In the past several years, esports has seen a dramatic growth within the Western scene with popular titles such as StarCraft II, League of Legends, and Dota 2. The number of official tournaments has increased from 10 in the year 2000 to almost 700 in 2012. The prize pool for these tournaments have increased from several thousands to over $1 million in a few prominent cases. However, while the esports industry is finding great success in gaining mainstream acceptance within the Western world, no one does competitive gaming like South Korea. When Lim Yo-hwan walks the streets of Seoul, legions of fangirls flock around him for pictures and autographs. He is neither a pop idol sensation nor a movie star, yet he is one of South Korea's most recognizable celebrities. Lim Yo-hwan is South Korea's most famous professional gamer. Between 2001 and 2010, he made a career out of playing the extremely popular real-time strategy game, StarCraft, within South Korea's flourishing esports industry. During his career, Lim Yo-hwan amassed a fan base of over 600,000 members, commanded a salary of $500,000, and achieved nationwide fame. At the time, this success story only could have happened in South Korea, which is known as the capital and birthplace of esports. In Korea, professional gaming has been recognized as a legitimate and viable career path for extremely dedicated gamers. There, players like Lim Yo-hwan are treated as professional athletes with exclusive access to training facilities and dedicated competition stadiums. Their matches are televised live during prime time as well as streamed over the internet, attracting audiences numbering in the millions. Indeed, esports is serious business within South Korea. But one has to wonder, why did esports become so popular there? What made South Korea so conducive for the genesis of this phenomenon? In order to understand why, we need to look at some important economic, historical, and cultural factors that allowed South Korea to be the ideal birthplace for the esports phenomenon. During the 1990s, South Korea's economy was still based on traditional manufacturing industries centered on shipbuilding, automotive, and textile production. However, in 1997, South Korea faced a financial crisis that threatened to halt the nation's economic growth. In order to avoid a recession, the Korean government shifted their attention onto the budding information technology industry in an effort to revitalize the economy and produce a technologically knowledgeable society. The Korean government promoted growth and competition within this market with favorable deregulation policies and generous tax incentives. For their efforts, Korea developed a highly advanced telecommunication infrastructure, an important prerequisite and boon for the diffusion of esports culture throughout Korean society. In a world dominated by console gaming, one important reason for the early rise of esports in South Korea is the ubiquity of PC gaming within its gaming market. The cause for this peculiar situation stems from Korea's unique historical background. After its colonization under Japan ended in 1945, Korea implemented the law for punishing anti-national deeds in an effort to protect Korean culture by preventing a Japanese cultural takeover. Due to this policy, which prohibited Japanese media within Korea, the console powerhouses Sony and Nintendo were unable to penetrate South Korea's gaming industry. By the time the ban on Japanese consoles was lifted in 2000, PC dominance had already been established. The popularity of PCs over console gaming gave Korea an important head start in producing a gaming culture that would eventually lead to the rise of esports. Although it was Korea's unique economic and historical background that resulted in a technologically connected society, it was powerful cultural factors that made esports a popular and mainstream activity. One important cultural phenomenon was the rise of the PC ban, which revolutionized the cultural perception of gaming within Korean society. During the 1997 financial crisis, many unemployed South Koreans established internet cafes known as PC banks. These cafes allow their patrons to access high-speed internet as well as popular online computer games at a low hourly rate. This low-maintenance business was extremely popular amongst Korean youth who would come to socialize and engage in the growing competitive gaming scene. The second important cultural factor was the establishment of dedicated gaming television channels, such as OnGameNet and NBC Game in 2000, which continuously broadcast competitive StarCraft games. This media coverage helped promote and advertise esports to the general Korean population. PC Bang and mainstream media worked together to not only popularize competitive gaming within Korean society, but also helped esports gain cultural acceptance. In conclusion, the success and popularity of esports in South Korea is the result of three critical events. The redirection of South Korea's economic growth after the 1997 financial crisis equipped Korean society with the technological infrastructure necessary for the establishment of esports. The isolationist policy towards Japanese culture allowed for a PC-based gaming market to develop within South Korea, which explains why esports developed there first. And finally, the ubiquity of the PC Bang and the coverage from mainstream media outlets played an important role in helping Korean society embrace the esports culture. Thanks to South Korea's leadership in pioneering this new industry, esports is becoming a global phenomenon where it continues to redefine the world's perception of competitive gaming.